Iran plunged into chaos as news broke of a helicopter crash that claimed the life of President Ebrahim Raisi. The incident, shrouded in mystery, sent shockwaves throughout the nation and the world. The helicopter carrying President Raisi and several high-ranking officials was en route to a rally in Karaj, a city west of Tehran. Witnesses described a scene of horror as the aircraft, reportedly a Russian-made Mi-17, spiraled out of control before crashing into a densely populated neighborhood. Images and videos of the crash site quickly flooded social media, painting a grim picture of the devastation. The crash has left Iran reeling, grappling with the loss of its leader and the implications for the nation's political landscape. The Iranian government faces the daunting task of conducting a thorough and transparent investigation, a challenge compounded by the weight of speculation and the geopolitical climate. The international community, already on edge due to ongoing tensions with Iran, has responded with a mix of caution and concern. The incident has the potential to further isolate Iran on the world stage, depending on the findings of the investigation and the actions of the Iranian government in the aftermath. As Iran mourns the loss of its president, the world watches, waiting to see how this tragedy will shape the nation's future. The day began like any other, with President Raisi scheduled to address a rally in Karaj, a city grappling with economic hardship and social unrest. As the president's helicopter, escorted by a fleet of security aircraft, approached Karaj, air traffic control lost contact. Minutes later, reports began to emerge of a large explosion and a plume of smoke billowing into the sky near the rally site. First responders, met with a scene of chaos and devastation, worked tirelessly to extinguish the flames and search for survivors. However, their efforts proved futile as it soon became clear that there were no survivors. The Iranian flag was lowered to half-mast across the country as a period of national mourning was declared. The sudden and tragic demise of President Raisi in a helicopter crash has left a void in Iranian politics, paving the way for a whirlwind of speculation and conspiracy theories. Amidst the grief and mourning, questions surrounding the cause of the crash have taken center stage, fueling anxieties and mistrust both domestically and internationally. While mechanical failure and human error are being considered as possible explanations, whispers of sabotage and foul play have begun to circulate. Given Iran's volatile history and its complex relationship with regional and global powers, the possibility of an orchestrated attack cannot be easily dismissed. Adding fuel to the fire, several opposition groups in exile have been quick to point fingers, alleging the crash was an inside job, potentially orchestrated by factions within the Iranian government itself. The lack of transparency from the Iranian government, known for its tight control over information, has done little to quell the suspicions, further fueling the rumor mill. Adding another layer of complexity to the situation, some international observers have suggested the possibility of foreign involvement, pointing to Iran's adversaries who might benefit from the destabilization caused by the president's death. The news of President Raisi's death sent ripples across the globe, eliciting a wave of reactions from world leaders and international organizations. Condolences poured in from various countries, expressing sympathy for the Iranian people and acknowledging the tragedy of the event. Western nations, long at odds with Iran over its nuclear program and regional policies, offered carefully worded statements expressing sadness over the loss of life, but refraining from commenting on the incident's potential implications. In contrast, countries with closer ties to Iran, such as Russia and China, expressed their condolences more effusively, emphasizing the need for unity and stability in the wake of the tragedy. The incident has also drawn responses from international organizations, with the United Nations expressing its condolences and offering assistance to Iran in investigating the crash. The International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, the UN agency responsible for aviation safety, has offered its technical expertise in determining the cause of the crash. The sudden demise of President Raisi has created a seismic shift in Iranian politics, leaving a void in leadership and plunging the nation into a period of profound uncertainty. The Iranian constitution mandates that the Speaker of Parliament, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, assume the presidency on an interim basis until new elections are held within the next 2 months. However, Ghalibaf, a relatively unknown figure on the international stage, inherits a nation grappling with internal divisions and external pressures. Raisi's presidency, marked by a hardline stance on social issues and a confrontational approach to foreign policy, had already polarized Iranian society. His death threatens to exacerbate these divisions, potentially leading to power struggles within the ruling elite. The upcoming elections, initially intended as a referendum on Raisi's policies, will now serve as a battleground for competing visions of Iran's future. Adding to the complexity of the situation, Iran's economy, battered by years of sanctions and mismanagement, remains in a precarious state. The new leadership will face the daunting task of stabilizing the economy while navigating the treacherous waters of Iranian politics. In the wake of the helicopter crash that claimed the life of President Raisi, a wave of grief and shock has washed over Iran. Millions across the country are mourning the loss of their leader, with many taking to the streets to express their condolences and pay their respects. However, beneath the surface of collective mourning, a complex tapestry of emotions is unfolding. Anger simmers among those who believe the government's response to the tragedy has been inadequate or lacking transparency. The lack of clear information surrounding the cause of the crash has fueled suspicion and mistrust, with many questioning the official narrative. The incident has also reignited long-standing grievances against the government, particularly among those critical of its handling of the economy, social restrictions, and foreign policy. Social media platforms, despite government attempts to control the narrative, have become hotbeds of speculation and dissent. As Iran grapples with the aftermath of the helicopter crash that killed President Raisi, questions are being raised about the role of crippling international sanctions in the tragedy. Critics argue that the sanctions, particularly those targeting Iran's access to vital aircraft parts and maintenance technology, have compromised the safety of the country's aging fleet. Iran, once boasting a relatively modern air fleet, has seen its aviation industry suffer significantly under the weight of sanctions. The inability to purchase new aircraft or acquire spare parts from Western manufacturers has forced Iran to rely on aging planes, often requiring creative solutions to keep them operational. This situation, experts argue, has created a breeding ground for potential safety hazards, making accidents more likely. The sanctions intended to pressure Iran over its nuclear program and regional activities have had a devastating impact on the country's economy, including its aviation sector. The lack of access to essential resources has hampered Iran's ability to maintain its aircraft to international safety standards, potentially increasing the risk of accidents. The tragic demise of President Raisi in a helicopter crash has injected a new layer of uncertainty into the already fragile negotiations over the Iran nuclear deal. Raisi, a hardliner skeptical of the West, had adopted a tough stance in the talks, demanding guarantees from the United States and a lifting of all sanctions before Iran would curb its nuclear program. His death, while sending shockwaves through Iran's political establishment, has also left a void in the nuclear negotiations, the direction of which remains unclear. Some analysts argue that the incident could potentially pave the way for a more moderate approach from Tehran. With the hardline camp in mourning and disarray, there is speculation that pragmatists within the Iranian government, eager to revive the economy and ease international pressure, might gain the upper hand. A potential successor to Raisi, particularly one from the reformist or moderate factions, might be more amenable to compromise in the nuclear talks, seeing it as an opportunity to stabilize the country and secure much-needed economic relief. However, others caution against premature optimism, arguing that the incident could just as easily embolden hardliners within the Iranian establishment. As Iran mourns the loss of its president and prepares for a transition of power, the nation stands at a crossroads, facing a future clouded by uncertainty. The helicopter crash that claimed the life of President Raisi has exposed the fragility of power and the unpredictable nature of geopolitics. The immediate challenge for Iran lies in navigating the transition of power and ensuring stability during the interim period leading up to new elections. The Speaker of Parliament, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, faces the daunting task of uniting a nation in mourning while also addressing the pressing issues facing the country. His ability to maintain order, manage internal factions, and project an image of strength and unity will be crucial in the coming weeks and months. The outcome of the investigation into the helicopter crash, while shrouded in uncertainty, will likely have significant implications for Iran's domestic politics and international relations. A transparent and credible investigation, if conducted, could help alleviate some of the public anger and suspicion surrounding the incident.